The following game has been rated E for everyone by the ESRB, and it has no listed restrictions. That means that the content in the game should be appropriate for anyone aged 6 and up. Furthermore, this game is also listed as early access. That means that this game is not yet completed, so what you will see in the following video may not be reflective of the final product. You have been warned. Greetings and salutations, I am Outlier, and I bid you welcome to this channel. Joining me today is, of course, my usual co-hosts, Snowball and Wolf. And today, we are returning back to Hardspace Shipbreaker. Because I enjoy the game and I find it fun and I feel like making another episode. Well, yes, there's that too. The premise of Hardspace Shipbreaker is that you play a salvage engineer working for a company called the Lynx Corporation. However, unlike modern day salvage engineers where you're cutting apart rusted wrecks from ocean-going vessels and various other things, you are a salvage engineer for spaceships. And because, for reasons not fully addressed in the game, your work area is in orbit of the planet Earth. So you're taking apart spaceships in the vacuum of space with only your spacesuit protecting you from a cold and grisly death. On top of that, your employer, Lynx Corporation, has expended a large amount of money to actually get you from where you used to live on the planet Earth into orbit to work at their space station known as the Morgan Station. And they are not willing to eat the cost, so they've saddled you with the repayment of all the debt to get you up there, plus rental of the tools, the place where you actually live, the bay, and all that fun stuff. There's also interest on the loan that you have to deal with, and you pay them back by cutting up derelict vessels and scrapping the parts. I have been playing this game rather regularly since the last episode, so we're rather further along than I was at the end of the last episode. And we should be able to work on a new ship that we didn't see in the past. This game is, of course, made by Thank you again. And, well, that being said, let us begin. So, this is the Hab. Good morning, Shipbreaker. Something, something, something. Pay your debt and all your bills. Because we are in between shifts, there's no credit breakdown from the last shift. For some reason, I don't think any ships that you're working on continue after you exit the game. Every time, I've always managed to just drop a ship completely into the scrap bins. So I generally, every time I'm done a playthrough, so usually don't have the option to continue salvage because there's no ship. However, there have been times when the game's crashed mid-work shift and it doesn't retain the ship, so I don't think they carry over from playthrough to playthrough. So this is the equipment. The grapple's kind of damaged, so let's go and repair that right off the bat. We do, I guess I should actually start off with certifications. So we have progressed, well, I have progressed further along in the certifications. I am now classified as an apprentice. And in order to get to rank 8, the rank of laborer, I have to complete 55 work order objectives, drop off, actually no, that's rank 7. So for rank 8, I have to complete 140 work order objectives, salvage 5 class 2 reactors, salvage 5 ECUs, and salvage 10 thruster class Mark IIs. I also have to earn 96.5 million credits. And that's just for the next certification. I've picked up various comms data. I don't pay much attention to those, truth be told. And that's the wrong button. So back to equipment. We have gotten a couple extra upgrades. I haven't unlocked much for the cutter, just simply because I don't really have much need for longer ranged beam. I usually use the Stinger most of the time. Cooldown's probably better, but there are other upgrades. And then the grapple, I did unlock the force charge, so I can push things farther away. I can charge up the force push, and it should knock heavier objects away faster. Don't have enough to increase the tethers. That's probably the only upgrade it's probably the first upgrade I'd be most interested in. And then thrusters. We actually managed to purchase the thrusters, so we're not renting them anymore. And it's just basically, I haven't really unlocked any other upgrades for that. For the scanner, I could probably purchase the scanner if I had enough links points, but I don't. I did increase the scanner mode. And then for the helmet, I did purchase the helmet, but other than that, the capacities are pretty much the same. Oh, I did unlock O2 recharge, so for the small amount of time we're actually in an atmospheric environment aboard the ship, I would actually start gaining O2 as opposed to losing it. And then the work suit, I increased some of the resistances. That's where I stand now, so if we look at the ship, we currently have access to grade 5, so we can start taking apart heavy cargo geckos, which is a larger ship compared to the mackerel. This is the mackerel right here. Well, this is the grade 3 mackerels right here. This is the grade 2 mackerels, and this is the training mackerel. So in order to get the next certification, I need to get more... I need to salvage class 2 pieces, which aren't found on the mackerels, they're found on the geckos. And while I could start taking apart a heavy cargo gecko, I've never actually looked at one of these ships before, although I'm certain the layout is rather the same compared to the transport geckos. But I'd prefer not to hit something I'm not supposed to unexpectedly and die in a fire explosion. So we are going to go with a grade 4 transport, and it looks like the Trenchant Jackson Mark 8. 5, 6, 7, yeah. The Trenchant Jackson Mark 8 has the highest total value, so we are going to go with that transport ship. So this is the vessel. Oh, one other thing I also did figure out, relatively short, is
If I latch onto this and press the right mouse button, it causes me to get pulled towards the vessel. I believe that's if it's more massive than I am. If it's not, then the whatever I'm pulling gets pulled towards me. So I'm not seeing any sensor towers or any sort of antenna or anything on the top we can chop off for easy points, for some easy coins, so I guess we just enter the ship.
Airlock pressure levels dropping.
Oh, work orders, I almost forgot. So I guess it'd be easier if we didn't look at it when staring at a yellow background. So we have to salvage the power generator, salvage 2 class 2 thrusters, salvage 19 electrical components, salvage 21,227 kilograms of nanocarbon, salvage 8,869 kilograms of metal, salvage 22 computer terminals, and salvage 1 data drive. Really? I don't have to salvage the generator or the reactor. I should point out that this game is in early access still, and they did make some upgrades, so things may have changed since the last episode. Oh, that's interesting. So the main internal compartment is not pressurized, so once the airlock cycled, we were able to just simply enter this area. However, I'm assuming what's past these 2 doors is, that's why the doors are closed. So we are going to go to this atmospheric regulator and turn it on.
Air pressure level increasing.
That's what I expected. Okay, so this doesn't have an air... what are these things? Oh, fuel canisters. Interesting. Should probably turn on the light. It's actually brighter than it used to be. That's good, I guess. So I guess the first thing I should do is probably get this stuff out. Because if I have no way of depressurizing this room by itself... What are you? Oh, you're a hard crate. Okay. Yeah, I caught that before it smacked me in the head. I guess one thing I could technically do is close the door, cut it open, and then depressurize, so any air should come out. But I'm worried about an explosive decompression if that's the case. And one time I decompressed into this room, it hit the reactor and caused an explosion. So I'd prefer not a repeat of that. What are you? Oh, you're a power cell capacitor. Alright. But as you can see, the O2 is actually increasing right now. Oh, look, there's a data drive. Let's pick that up for an easy work order completion. And let's depressurize this particular compartment.
Air pressure level decreasing.
So this compartment, small compartment's now depressurized. However, I'm assuming the cockpit is not. That's still pressurized. Yeah, it says danger if I cut through there, so that's going to be pressurized. So if I open that door up, things are going to get blown this way. Well, I don't think there's actually much in the way of... Yeah, there usually isn't much free-floating stuff in the cockpit, so... If we just simply open this...
Air pressure level decreasing.
Alright, so that's depressurized now. Actually, there was a way I could pressurize this room, but there isn't. Yes, I don't think there is. Okay, why does that say danger if I cut through there? This whole area should be depressurized. Alright, well, I'm not getting any danger warnings from here, so... You just, try not to chop the seat off.
Air pressure level decreasing.
Okay, that's annoying. So that area was actually pressurized. That is weird. Well, I can now have access to the outside of the ship, well, to the, inside of the outer hull. So let's just start cutting this piece apart. Shouldn't cut willy-nilly, so I'm using the stinger to make precision cuts. In case I hit, like, say, a coolant tank or a fuel pod, because I've done that. And I've seen the explosion that it causes, so... As Weaver said, cut once, well, measure twice and cut once, so... Haven't gotten killed yet. Yet being the optimum word. I am, however, I should point out, I am in space. You know, any environment where everything's trying to kill you is not considered a safe environment. But now that this particular panel's been popped off, just feed that to the blue maw. Now, can I yank any of the others out yet? Yes, I can.
Processing valuable object. Credits awarded.
Technically don't need the tethers for the small panels, I guess. So are you part of the front plate or not? And it looks like you're still connected to something. Okay, so you're still connected to the forward keel. Chunk of debris in the way. Oh, you're still not coming off, okay. I wonder if for some reason I have to hit this cut point as well.
Well, the game's good. We wrap.
I should point out, I have not salvaged much this shift, so I really should start yanking stuff off. Can any of these side panels go? Alright, so this one can. Toss that in the blue maw. But the panel next to it. You can as well.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
Alright, so there's apparently some aluminum on these panels. I'm assuming these joist pieces. That's supposed to be fed to the red maw as opposed to the blue maw. So,
Warning. Your oxygen reserves are dropping below statistically profitable levels.
I know. So I think the oxygen warning happens at 7502 now as opposed to 100, so I have a less leeway to get back to the half and get more O2.
Oxygen level stabilizing.
So it doesn't look like that this piece is connected to the hull. Given the fact that I'm basically pushing it away, it means that it's actually free. Although it's connected to the side piece still, so. And since this panel seems to be wanting to be fed to the red maw, we're just going to cut this off. No? Still? Okay. Well, I'm all manner confused. Of course, it's probably this piece right here that's giving me problems. Since it's made out of nanocarbon, I can't exactly cut through it.
Left, Cutter. Time to start wrapping things up. We're out.
I'm gonna get free tethers anyway, so let's yank that chunk off to the furnace.
Material deposited.
This piece as well. The rest of this panel can go to the processor. As can this panel.
Deposit not accepted. Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
I would say this panel, but it won't get there in 4 seconds. Alright, so I didn't get a chance to salvage much. I think I spent most of the time just looking around. But I did manage to salvage 4,203 kilograms of nanocarbon panel, 2,046 kilograms of nanocarbon, 463 kilograms of aluminum, and I got 696 kilograms of aluminum destroyed because they were strapped to the nanocarbon panels. However, I think nanocarbon sells for more than aluminum, so as long as I'm depositing more nanocarbon than I am aluminum, I think I'm actually getting better into the deal. And this is a breakdown of the expenses. So I didn't die, so there's no resurrection fee. This is the interest on the loan. Bay lease, transportation fees, cutter rental, so forth, so on, and so forth. Bring the grand total for daily expenditures that I need to get to 456,797.71 credits. So I have to make at least that in order to turn a profit for that day and have the debt shrink. However, I didn't get a chance to do that today. I only made 286,801.2 credits, so I actually lost money on that day. But all the good chunks of the ship are still there, so we should just simply continue with salvage. Oh, but before I go, what's my equipment looking like? 71% durability and 95% durability. I can go, I generally try to repair it around when the durability is between 50 and 70%. Let's just continue salvaging. And then there's
Accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
So those were the 2 other additional panels that didn't get a chance to be fed into the blue maw before a shift ended. So if we head back inside, I know we technically don't have to, but okay, so the airlock is not cycling. That is going to be a problem because that's still pressurized past this door. And that's the main part of the ship. I knew I should have made certain everything was pressurized before I started taking it all apart. But I didn't, so oh well. So let's deal with this seat right here.
Salvage secured.
This bit of scrap
Credit
right
deposited.
here. Just getting a clear shot to the red maw. And away it goes. I don't think anything's keeping this panel in place, so let's just feed that to the blue maw. Now these front panels are all one piece if memory serves, so I can't just yank the bottom pieces out until I cut away at the top. Although this keel piece should be able to go. Yeah. To the blue maw with you.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Just waiting for the right line up to that shot. More aluminum. Nope. You get fed to the blue maw. Usually I can scrap enough nanocarbon in a day to make just off of the outer hull to make a profit for a day. I think because I spent too much time exploring initially. Just fire that off to nowhere. Get back here. There we go. Fire those seats down.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied. Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
So pretty much the entire game loop is just simply cutting ships apart, trying not to get yourself blown up, and dropping the right pieces in the right spot. So I know I didn't say it before yet, but there's basically 3 spots for you to dump pieces into, depending upon what they are and what they're made out of. What you're seeing on both sides are the furnace and the processor, what I like to call the blue and red maws respectively. And then underneath is the barge, which I like to call the net. And so any actual objects, chairs, the reactor, computer terminals, door consoles, all that fun stuff, that gets sent to the barge. Whereas things like nanocarbon and titanium get sent to the processor. And then things like aluminum and I guess steel, or at least what would pass for steel, those all get sent to the processor. And you get money if you dump the right thing in the right spot, and if you don't, then, well, you get fined. Actually, I don't think you get fined. It just gets listed as destroyed and you don't get any reward off of it. Let's get you clear, and then send you on your way. Then back up in case it whiplashes. That's another chunk of keel.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Just pop off these coolant tanks and hope they don't explode. Because I've had coolant tanks that seem to be fine, and then the game thinks that they're in an area where they aren't, and they go all haywire and explode for no reason.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Sneak you out. So one thing I don't like about the net is that the stuff that you one thing I don't like about the net is that the stuff that you drop there stays for the entire salvage. So once this shift is over, everything that you see in the net, the chairs, the coolant tanks, everything like that, will still be there next shift. And every time I add more stuff to it, the net becomes more and more cluttered. And I've had it where I've tried to drop something in the net, it looks clear, it collides with something already in there and then just bounces off to who knows where. Or worse, it explodes. Which I'm not too keen on, but... I did mention already that this game is in fact early access. So hopefully they'll work that out, or they'll keep it in because they feel it's a feature.
Oxygen level rising.
Have a nice day.
When there was another coolant tank over here. Guess not. I do want to get these computer terminals out because one of my work orders requires a large amount of computer terminals.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Here, a chunk of flooring. And I will say this about the geckos. There is actually a large amount of like small little pieces. I also really got to make certain that I don't bang the computer terminals into something else. They are rather brittle, I guess you could say.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Gonna have to get used to that retracting feature. I think every object's gonna bounce into my helmet and cause it to break. I also fully expected to just simply keep on going after I release the mouse button.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Let's get this door panel off. Yeah, see, I smacked it against everything available, so caused it to break. So now I have to feed it to the furnace as opposed to the barge. Just dump these soft crates in down here.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits
Where am I? There I am.
Alright, Cutter, you got 5 minutes left in the shift before they turn the lights out on you. Need a pattern. We've run.
Salvage secured. Credits
Anything else in this room? Do try to keep the back of the net clear for the large objects that are kept in the back of the ship, like the thrusters and the reactor. So a lot of the times the small objects like the chairs and whatnot I'll try to throw to the front of the net. Alright, you're a power cell capacitor. I probably shouldn't deal with anything electrical until after I pull the power generator. Alright, so since this is now open to vacuum, I don't need the atmosphere regulator for this compartment. Just drop you there.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Wait, is the area pressurized? Let's do something stupid. No, it is not. Look, another data drive. Didn't think these things had two. Yeah, this crawl space is open. That's probably why the outer hull was pressurized. This whole area was open, so O2 filled the area. So when I cut into it, it caused an atmospheric leak. Well, okay then. I don't need to worry about venting the O2 on the inside of the vessel. Just gonna keep on scrapping that. That was my biggest worry, that the main compartment was still pressurized, and if I try to get, and since the airlock wouldn't cycle anymore, if if I tried to get back into it, it would have,
Salvage secured.
I would have like
Account credit
cut this
applied.
area, and then an entire room, half the ship would vent O2, and everything in this area would get smashed, including the character. Here's a weird looking poster. But it's worth money, so into the net you go. I shouldn't say it's not, it's weird looking. I mean, to be fair, it looks actually fine. I mean, this is more creepy than the other one. It's a skeleton in a spacesuit. Whereas this is just some person with a neckerchief, scarf hat. I wonder who that person actually is. Either in real life or in the lore. So the front of the half of the ship really isn't as exciting as some of the other areas. I mean, it's basically just a large amount of small little pieces that I just grab and then toss everywhere. Okay, I got about a minute and a half of O2 left, and just over a minute left in the shift. I should probably keep scrapping, but I
Wrap it up. You got about a minute left.
do like to do small amounts of role-playing with this, where I have to factor in getting back into the hab and having the hab's airlock cycle before, well, having enough O2 to get back and have the airlock cycle, even though I could technically have 3 seconds of O2 left at the ship as the shift ends and still be perfectly fine. Okay, so I lost one door console that I smacked against the ship multiple times, and 399 kilograms of aluminum, but I dropped... Yeah, posters are actually worth quite a bit. I dropped 4 of them, and all 4 combined got me 8,400. So 2,000. So each poster is worth 2,100 credits. By contrast, the one atmospheric regulator is worth 48,000. I mean, then the one door console is worth 24,000. So forth and so on. So I ended up making today, well, this shift, 768,473.3. So I ended up making a profit for today. Don't think it's enough to cover my... Yeah, I think it's enough to actually cover my loss as well. I'd have to run the math to be certain from yesterday, but it works. So we're proceeding on with the certifications. Oops, I wanted to check my equipment. Everything seems fine so far. Let's continue salvaging. So I know I can actually continue working on the outside of the ship and stripping off more of the hull and all that fun stuff, but I like getting all those small little pieces out of the front of the ship first. I like working from one side of the ship to the other, and I'm just kind of crazy like that. Yeah, see, that smacked into me. And it's all electrical now.
Salvage deposit accepted.
Thankfully, it didn't take enough damage to actually fully break. There's something sparking on the other side of that wall. And for what I hope is an open spot on the net. Oops. Wrong button. Right button.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Can we not smack our head against the inner hull?
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
for
Salvage
that.
deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Here we go for that.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited. Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
I was going to say that's all the computer terminals, but no, there's one left. Used for this particular room. If you really want to maximize your profits, you really got to go through room by room
Salvage
and dig out all
secured.
the little
Account credit
pieces. For instance, I could have sworn there was a light up here, but I may have actually dealt with that last shift. Okay, what are you? A personal terminal. Apparently you get sent to the barge. Why I can't just pick you up and stuff you in my pocket like other small things, I don't know, but I'm assuming that made that. Oh, there is an atmospheric regulator in here. How many of these geckos have I taken apart and I've just now realized that that's there? No wonder why it has separate individual, Yeah, see, like what happened right there, it bounced off of something else in the net. And right now it's flying off to God knows where.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
What are you? There's the light.
Salvage secured. Account credit
So
applied.
things can actually bounce off the net if you're not paying attention. Irks me to no end. Alright, so now that that's gone, can I shut this door? Yes, I can. I actually don't much care about salvaging the doors, so... Just gonna take off the door panel. They do count as mechanical, so... It's always a good idea to salvage these things. Even if they do break easily and it doesn't seem like that they'd be worth much. Okay, which way am I angled? Just refill the O2 for free. Oh, that's a lot of storage bins. Enough to make me question if they're actually going to be worth it or not. I will take the seat, however. Come on, get out. Get down.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
The atmosphere regulator is probably one of the most expensive pieces in this front compartment, so I will do my best to salvage every one I can. see what I mean about things smacking into the other things in the net? So that the atmospheric regulator that I just tried to send down smacked into that thing, whatever it is, and it actually, well, that computer terminal, and it actually broke the regulator. So not only did it bounce off the net, it wasn't considered salvageable anymore. So I had to feed it to the furnace, except it went flying off God knows where. So that'll eventually fall back to Earth in terms of re-entry. And that actually ticks me off.
Electrical damage. Note that excess electrical damage has been found to negatively impact long-term job satisfaction.
And that was annoying. Okay, we're not touching the front end of that ship until we pull the power generator. So that's going to be it for the front part, at least until, as I said, we pull the power generator, which won't be for, I guess, a while now. Yeah, we're not going to mess with the heatsink right now. But is this front panel connected to anything else right now? I don't think so. Oh look, another heatsink. Interesting. So on that note, the other side's connected through the cockpit, so there's until we cut off the cockpit, there's no way of getting that off. But let's send this to the blue maw. And it's a massive chunk of nanocarbon, so it's going to take forever. Unless, of course, we use like 4 tethers. And it just literally yanks clean off. Away it goes. I do have to wonder about the layout of the ship. You would think that spaceships wouldn't have this much empty space inside them. It's like this nose area had plenty of space. Yes, it had the coolant tanks, but it had plenty of space, and this whole chunk didn't even have anything in it.
Credits deposited.
And in it goes. And that chunk alone gave me enough nanocarbon to complete the work order. Oops.
Cutter, you got 5 minutes left in this shift. Knock out that work order before they turn the lights out on you. We were
Too close to that piece and the character started freaking out. Which is probably a good sign because it's a warning that I'm about to get hit by something very massive that could probably kill the character. And I would prefer not to die. Well, I would prefer not to have the character get killed. Okay, so now that the front panels are off, it should be relatively easy just to grab this heatsink. This seems massive, so we're going to tether it to the barge, oh, say right there.
Salvage
So that's in.
Credits deposited.
Need 500 kilograms of heatsink. And we're not going to use the cutting beam, because there's a whole lot of interesting things in this particular spot. So that's the power generator right there, and we got to cut this cut point. So we'll just use the stinger for that. Cut there. Cut there. Cut there. How did a cargo container end up... You know what? I don't want to know. Because I don't think I'll hit anything doing this. We'll just hit that. Takes out both of them. Same here. But we'll switch back to the stinger for this one. So that keel piece is actually free now. these cut points get off the like a waste disposal unit, I think. Just fly around the generator as well. Okay, so that one cut point was holding a whole bunch of stuff together.
Warning. Oxygen reserves are low.
Alright, so I don't have much oxygen left, so we're going to have to go back and get more O2. That or end the shift with 2 hours left. 2 minutes left. It would actually probably be cheaper, and I cannot worry about what piece goes where with little time left. So let's just end the shift now. And we made over 1.3 million credits and only lost an atmospheric regulator because it bounced into something I didn't like. Well, it bounced into something, which is why they should probably clean the net between shifts, but they don't. Okay, this is unexpected.
Alright, well, this is a game-breaking bug.
And so here we are again. I don't know what happened, but apparently I moved on. The game thought I moved on to the next menu when it left the prior menu up and running, so it wouldn't let me proceed on with the next shift. So I had to close the program and reboot it. So good morning, Shipbreaker. Minimum payments or so forth and so on. So I believe the debt was the same at the end of the last shift. The cutter is now at 54%, so we're going to repair that. And the grapple is at 66%, so we're going to repair that. The scanner's at 82, and the thrusters are at 97, so they should be fine. If we start shift, as I suspected, it for some reason despawned the gecko that I was working on. So everything that I still had left to work on it is no longer available. And given the fact that I've been playing for so long, I don't feel the need to start another gecko. But I also don't want to just call it right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an easy macro. So the Brewster 12 transport macro. Just basically fly there. Assume I can brake in time. So just yank off this antenna for an easy, well, point.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
And that was actually one whole work order. You know, the difference between the grade 2 mackerels and the grade 3, other than some extra little pieces, is the fact that the grade 3 mackerels you actually have to climb into the superstructure in order to cut off the nacelles. Whereas for the grade 2s, the nacelles are actually, the cut points for the nacelles are on the actual outside of the ship.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Just tether you there. So all I have left to do is salvage the power cell and the thruster thruster. And the work orders for this particular vessel will be done.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
But we're going to do our best to actually salvage every last chunk of the ship we can. Because I'm actually kind of peeved that it stole the gecko from me. just tether you to this point.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Alright, so what am I looking at for the rest of this ship?
Salvage deposited.
Yeah, so the Mark II mackerels now have these little crawl spaces off on the side. Where is, I was going to say, where's the reactor? But that's it right there. Those are some soft crates, the fuel tanks, all that fun stuff. Alright, so that's everything pretty much on the outside of the vessel, unless I want to start cutting into areas I'm not supposed to. We'll just go through the airlock.
Airlock pressure levels dropping. Airlock pressure levels increasing.
Alright, and this is the inside of the mackerel. Free repair kit, so we'll just grab that. Also this data drive. It's a first aid kit. My health is at full, so I don't need it. Thruster gas is pretty much full, so I probably don't need to grab that right now. So that door, for whatever reason, has no way of opening. So what I'm going to do is hit the atmospheric regulator. Since the cockpit for some strange reasons is never pressurized, we don't have to worry about decompressing that. And then we vent this area. And this back portion isn't fully sealed. If you actually look at the bottom, you can actually see through it. I'll see under it. That's the cut point for the panel underneath. So this mackerel is now technically fully depressurized. So what I like generally doing, well actually, what I like doing first off is just cutting off the cut points in the middle right here. So that's a chair, we'll switch to the stinger for this. That panel's now free. That panel's now free. The front of the ship is now technically not part of the ship anymore. Okay, that was unexpected. Just cut off these pieces. So the front, the tops and the bottoms are now not part of the ship. At least not connected to the ship anymore. So if we just thrust her down, it's actually one of my favorite parts of this game for some reason. Just push all the pieces out. And just start feeding things to the various maws.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited. Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Sneak in right here. Take off this light. Okay, so I have to salvage the power cell as well as the thruster. The power cell is usually in one of these side compartments. between the inner hull and the outer hull. And that's it right there, actually. So if I gotta cut through the inner hull to get to the outer hull, I don't want to cut through this panel, because then I risk hitting the power cell, and that can cause problems. Because everything electrical, while the reactor powers, I believe, the ship, everything electrical gets its power from the power cell. Don't ask me how or why, I don't fully understand it myself. Like the fact I just pulled off that light, and yet there's still another one right there.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
But that makes about as much sense as anything else that I do, so what do I know?
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Up we go. Alright, so this is actually an aluminum panel, and it's got to go to the red maw as opposed to the blue. So we'll just send that on its way. And then this panel goes up slightly. And send you this way.
Material deposit.
And then because we're running low on O2, we're going to go back and get more.
Warning. Your oxygen reserve are dropping below statistically
I know.
profitable levels.
No, they're not.
Oxygen levels stabilizing.
We also need a better way to get out of that menu other than closing and reopening the work orders. Whee! Stop. Okay, so what I like next to do is, because this is like a nice large panel of glass surrounded by nanocarbon, back it up slightly and just cut it off. I do have to worry because if I'm not careful or cut in the wrong spot, the laser can cut clean through the glass and destroy what's behind it, which would be the computer panels and what are you still stuck on? There we go. So this is a nice large chunk of glass, and it goes directly to the red maw.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
62 kilograms of glass.
Cutter, there's 5 minutes remaining in this shift. Get in while the getting's good. We wrap.
And so now that most of the glass is gone, because there's always a couple pieces that I miss, it's a nice large area, nice large gaping hole just to pull out all the computer panels and the seats. That way I don't have to worry about things like doors and whatnot. What are you?
Credits transferred.
Oh, you're more glass, okay. Which is why if I'm not careful cutting the glass out, I'll actually hit either the seat or the computer panel.
Salvage secured.
Remember one time I was salvaging a mackerel and I wasn't paying attention, ended up having to dump 2 whole halves of a computer terminal into the furnace because I was not paying attention. What the?
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
It got dropped into the net. I shouldn't complain. How? And yet there are things that make me question. Out you go. And down you go.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
There's one computer terminal left. I think there's one computer terminal left. There might be another one.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Every time I see it bounce off of something, I'm thinking it's gonna get knocked somewhere. Well, it didn't go in, and I'm going to have to go chase it down, and / where it broke. And when stuff breaks because it bounces off what's already in the net, it just ticks me off. Alright, Atmo regulators are still worth some coins, so we definitely make certain that gets in the net.
Credits deposited.
Also want to make certain that this one gets into the net as well.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Chairs I'm not too worried about, so. I mean, outside of the one work order that required furniture.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
It's like, oh, chairs, okay. Yank it off, toss it in the general direction, and go from there. Much like these door panels. No. I mean, I'll get pissed if they get flung off of something else and go God knows where. But I won't lose. But I won't become ill-tempered if, you know, they break trying to salvage it.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
So I think that's actually everything on the front of the vessel. And no, there's still some chairs in the back. Okay.
1 minute left, Cutter. Time to start wrapping things up. We wrap.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Just spend the rest of the shift yanking these chairs off.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
I should be able to grab these snacks. It's a food pack. Why am I feeding it to the furnace? Even if I don't actually get any coin off of it. Alright, so we made just shy of 1 million credits off of everything. And the only thing that we lost was 28 kilograms of nanocarbon, 4 equipment mounts that were on the top piece, and less than a kilogram of glass. Of course, each equipment mount is only worth 1,200 credits, so you know, I'll take the nanocarbon over the equipment mount any day. And again, we made more profit than we did expense, so we should be good there. Equipment's in manageable durability, so let's just continue on with the Celestial Brewster, chopping it apart. Alright, so we cut everything out, we removed everything out of the main compartment and everything out of the cockpit. All that's left is the engineering bay, which I don't have easy access to, and the inside pieces of the ship. So to get to the inside, actually, hang on, I forgot about the outer airlock control. Alright, so that's gone. So now all that's left are on the basic sides of the vessel, and how I get access to it, I could cut through the inner wall, since I can't cut through the nanocarbon because the cutter isn't powerful enough. What I like doing is I like cutting off the front part, and then tethering it to one of these space cattle trops. Yeah, cattle trops. That pulls the entire front section actually off. This allows me not only to gain access to the sides, and one of these days I'll figure out the button to cut the tether before it naturally dies, but I don't know what that is yet, so right now we'll just use the stinger. While it's technically floating away from us, yes. Now that this part is off, we send that to the blue maw. And that tether dies, so it should be stopping shortly. Yank that part off, well, this light off. Send that to the net.
Salvage secured.
Interesting, I would have expected a coolant tanker in one of the sides. But we'll use the crosscut saw to just chop those real quick off. Pop off that side. Send that down there, and since everything's off from inside the area, well, from inside the cockpit, now you're just more glass. Now, if I were really keen on salvaging the most I possibly can off the vessel, I would try to separate the internal hull, which is aluminum, from the nanocarbon, but A, I don't feel like doing that, and B, it's just too much effort for too little gain, so since I always believe that in equal tonnage, the nanocarbon is worth more than the aluminum, I always send the cockpit off, the base cockpit, what's left of the cockpit off into the blue maw as opposed to the red. But in addition to allowing me access to the sides of the cockpit area, pulling off the front like that also gets me access to the sides of the main compartment. So since the power cell is right here, we're going to use the stinger to chop off these pieces. Pull off this light. Send that to the net.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Tether that to the blue maw. And that allows us to freely pull off the power cell. That was part of a work order, but I'm just going to throw that down there.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
And the new part that I really like is that these crawl spaces now allow you access into here. So I don't have to cut through that door just to get in. Would be nice if they had a control to open that, but they don't. For the more advanced macros, there's also fuel cutoffs that I have to worry about. So once I get access to this area, I generally turn off the gas flow. But there isn't, so I just use the stinger because the crosscut would hit the gas tank, causing an explosion, which is never a good thing.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred. Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
So send those two off. Just gonna pull this fuel tank off real quick. Find a nice empty spot in the net. and fling it down. There we go. Now we just got to do that for the other side. So the airlock is in the way right here, and I've seen other people just simply cut through the airlock or just simply ignore it. What's that pickup? Oh, a utility key. Okay. Not that I think I need it for this ship, but I won't say no to spare utility keys, but you can actually float through that crawl space between the top and bottom of the airlock. So I'll just hit these cut points real quick. I think that's everything, so we should just... Are we moving? We're not moving. Okay. Do this the fun way. Pull off this.
Oxygen reserves are low.
Did not realize we were running low on O2. That's my problem.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Still got to the hab relatively quickly, even if I did smack into it.
Welcome to Venturon 9000. Thank you for your purchase.
Oxygen levels stabilizing.
Just buy more gas.
Have a nice day.
I guess we're good on tethers for right now. And since these two pieces should be free now, just send them off to the Blue Maw. I know this one, I believe, still has its light connected to it. Try to yank that off. Go. Fire that off.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Tether that into the Blue Maw. Hopefully it doesn't hit the area and bounce into the Red Maw. That's always that's something I've always had issues with. Sometimes stuff going into the one area gets caught on this thing, and it ends up being flung into the wrong spot. So let's get this gas tank off into the net. This looks empty enough, so I'll just fling that down there. So all we got really left is the reactor and the thruster. So we'll just cut off the bottom chunk right here. And I'm going to try to save the reactor for another shift. Just simply because the reactor, a class 1 reactor is worth 500,000 credits. So if I salvage just that in a shift, I'll end up actually making a profit just off of that alone. I believe it's the only piece on the ship that's that expensive and that I can do that with. So, and I'm not certain I'm going to have enough time to get the thruster all out and, you know, send the rest of this to the various maws in time. So what I'm going to do is, simply because I'm right here, I'm going to cut off all the back pieces.
Alright, Cutter, you got 5 minutes left of this shift before they turn the lights out on you. Need a pattern.
I'm also going to yank off the thruster cap. Send that to the Blue Maw, which gets me access to the thruster.
Processing valuable objects. Credits.
Since I can't cut through the area any other way, got to bring it out through the cap area. And because it's fragile and expensive and I needed to complete my last work order, it gets tethered right there to the net. And hopefully, it doesn't smack into anything.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Right, so it's on that portion of the net, but it flags as being salvaged, so I will not complain. And then that should be it for the back part, so we just send the rest down into a maw. Using
Warning.
the last
No
tethers that we have. Of course, it did smack into the rest of the vessel, so it's going to make salvaging the reactor slightly difficult. Especially to do that safely, I like using a tether, and I'm now technically out of tethers. Although I could also technically buy more, so...
Valuable object processed. Credit
Okay, what exactly are you? Okay, so you're the last part, that one part of the aluminum panel I cut off. You just get fed to the red maw. Let's grab this door panel. And this door piece. And I should not have wasted my last tether. Oh well. We're however going to grab this light.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
I'm going to grab this med kit for no other reason because it's still here. Same with the Nova, same with the thruster fuel. And I'm going to spend the rest of the shift just cutting the airlock off the rest of the frame. Like I said, the nanocarbon's worth more than the aluminum.
Because we're getting down to the wire. Let's put a bow on this shift.
That went into a red maw.
Deposit accepted. Your oxygen reserves are low. Note that excess carbon dioxide can cause damage to Link's equipment.
I think it's freestanding now. But we got 22 seconds left, so... I'm just going to call it a shift. Not that I actually need to fly back to the hab, I got 6 seconds left. Alright, so I made almost 1.5 million credits on this shift. I lost over 1,000 kilograms of aluminum through panel and structure, and 44 kilograms of glass and 27 kilograms of titanium. But I made far more elsewhere. Oh, the one airlock console was worth 45,000. Interesting. So I thought there were 3 airlock consoles, but then I remembered. I sent the other 2 down to the net last shift. Just going to continue. And we'll take a look at the equipment. We'll repair the cutter. and continue salvaging. So there isn't much left of the Celestial Brewster 12. All that's really left is the reactor and bits of the frame. So we shouldn't need all 15 minutes. And this is why I didn't want to pull it yet. I just shoot it with a tether, find an empty spot on the net, and watch it get yanked. And back away slowly, because this thing will go boom if you're not careful.
Salvage secured.
And it's in.
Account credit applied.
Just hit these two cut points to free the panel it was on. And it's actually pointed directly at the blue maw, so if I can get around to tether it. Should just pop right in. Like so. And yeah, the airlock is technically free from the rest of the frame.
For processing. Credits deposited.
So we could just tether that away.
Object not accepted. Please revisit your training.
Okay, maybe there was more aluminum than there was nanocarbon on that. Oh well. Gonna have to remember that for next time. So all that's left is the base is the frame of the ship. And I could just technically toss it clean into the red maw, but it's easier to do in chunks. So, just gonna cut right here, thusly. So this piece should be free, I think. No, I think it's still attached right there. But it's all going to go down the red maw anyway, so just yank and hide. No, it's free. Okay. Because apparently things will eventually stop in the vastness of space. Send another tether its way.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
Just cut this right here. And this piece right here. And it should now be in half. So send this part that way. Send
Material deposited.
Send that part that way. And because the tether died, we retether it. Just try to. I get free tethers every shift, so I'm not too worried about
Tether supplies running low.
burning through a spare tether or two just to get the last of the frame in.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
And just like that, the Celestial Brewster 12 is no more. I mean, there might be small little bits and chunks of random scrap or the occasional soda bottle. Still left in the bay, but it's of little consequence. So now that the ship is gone, all we got left to do is to, well, end the shift. Just yank this right here, and then break, and then we enter the hab. So the ship is gone. We lost 2,375 units of aluminum paneling, well, structure, I should say, and 265 kilograms of aluminum, 16 lights, they were the small little things on the frame, 250 kilograms of titanium, and 5 doors. I don't much care for the doors. That much aluminum I'm kind of peeved at, but it's either lose the aluminum or lose the nanocarbon. Although I did lose more aluminum than the nanocarbon, so that means I probably should have shoved the airlock down the red wall and said whatever. But because we tossed the reactor in this day, we made 654,917.3 credits. And the total debt was 400 for today. Well, yesterday, right, the last shift was 456,509.303 credits. So we made a profit. So the debt goes down. It now stands at 965,546,788 credits. Every little bit helps. And on that note, I shall call it here.
Everybody stay safe from the plague, and have a good day.